Our first guest today is Elaine Allison, and Elaine works at the Benton Franklin Humane Society, and she is the operations manager. She's been there for 2.5 years. And when I first called her, it was like, what is a dangerous dog in the Tri-Cities? How do we define those? What are the different rules in the 3 cities? So, first, Elaine, does every city of the 3 cities have a dangerous dog ordinance?
They have both potentially dangerous and dangerous dog laws.
Oh, okay. All right. So, what is the difference between all 3 of the cities? Is there a big difference?
All 3 of the cities are dramatically different. There is the city of Kennewick that has a potentially dangerous dog law, a dangerous dog law with a breed restriction. Pasco has both those things with a breed restriction, with the caveat that if you get your canine good citizen on your pit bull, then it can be treated like any other dog. And Richland is, clearly defined by action, no breed restriction.
Okay, so breed restriction in both Pasco and Kennewick is which breed? What are we talking about?
It's defined as anything that has the physical appearance of a pit bull, bull terrier, a Staffordshire terrier, and ultimately it's up to the pound master to determine that. It's based on physical appearance, which makes no sense.
Ooh, okay. So what if I have a dog that looks like a pit bull? And what do I have to do? What is my requirement?
Depending on the city.
Yeah.
In Kennewick and Pasco, you have to get a $250,000 surety bond. You have to walk your dog on a chain link leash. You have to carry a muzzle on your person. They can never be in the backyard, no matter how tall your fence is, off leash. They have to be in a 6-sided enclosure in your backyard. You have to alert your neighbors that you have a pit bull type dog, and in Pasco, if your dog passes the canine good citizen, those things are lifted.
Those things are lifted, so you wouldn't have to have this bond, what, $250,000 bond. Whew.
They've
All right.
obviously not recognized the remarkable effectiveness of barbed wire in keeping things inside enclosures. I'm just saying, that's a little...
Yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty excessive.
If it's truly a potentially dangerous dog or a dangerous dog, I say have at it.
Yeah, of course.
But when they throw in the breed, where it's just because you may or may not be this type of dog, that's where we have a conversation with the council.
So, so my dog can never be off the leash in its backyard?
Yeah, a 6-sided enclosure, meaning they don't want anything to dig out. No matter how tall the fence, it's literally defined by that way.
And so my dog could be very docile as a pit bull, but I'm still subject to these extra requirements.
Yep.
And to what extent is the city actually checking on this?
It's been in place for about 35 years, and there's a little bit of the way I sort of equate it is like when I was a young girl and I lived in Hollywood, if I wanted the police to come out because there was guys hiding in my bushes, I would always say, "Then shots were fired." And I think that's sort of what's happening in a town with a breed restriction. If you want animal control to come out quickly, you're going to say whatever the problem is with every dog, you're going to say it's a pit bull. And they spend a lot of time, revenue, and wasted resources chasing pit bulls and pit bull type dogs.
What if my dog is actually a dangerous dog, but he is a yellow lab, I have?
They get deemed as well. And and if they have a
the dog has to do some kind of an action first to be deemed a dangerous dog, right?
Potentially dangerous means that they're threatening. There is a threatening behavior. Maybe they chased a kid down the street, or they're out loose. They get a dog at large ticket. Some kind of menacing behavior. Dangerous is you've actually caused literal harm. You've bitten another dog. You've bitten a person, or you've gone after livestock.
Or you are a certain breed.
Or you are a certain breed.
Wow. All right, if you want to join our conversation, the number is 547-8726. And you say that these ordinances have been in effect for 35 years, and you are trying to change them. Why? Why are you trying to change them?
Well, it's hard for me I don't own a pit bull, by the way. I had a pit bull in the past. She lived to be 17. Nothing's funnier than a crabby old pit bull. And I've been in animal welfare and behavior for over 25 years, and I've worked with more pit bulls than any other breed of dog. And so I come to the Tri-Cities, and I see truly some of the nicest examples of the breed I've ever seen, languishing in shelters, because they'll stay 10 times longer than any other breed of dog, because we do have to counsel people. It's like, look, if you live in these cities, this is what's going to happen. And so they sit in the shelter, and it's very hard to watch them deride because we can't get them out the door. And people want them. People like pit bulls. they're fun dogs. I mean, taking away the potentially dangerous or dangerous thing. I mean, they're like, the lampshade on the head of the dog party kind of dog. They're knocking your drink off the table with their silly tail, and their loyalty to humans are all normal characteristics of the breed. Aberrant behavior is when they're attacking people, going after livestock. If it's a rat, that would be a little bit different. I would excuse that. But their normal behavior is not that they're not man stoppers. They're not dangerous to human beings. There's no breed of dog that's actually been determined to be, if you're this type of dog, you're dangerous. There's no citation that proves that.
And I think a lot of it is how it's treated and trained and bred by the owner. If you treat it the way it's supposed to be treated, and you're kind to the dog, obedience classes. Our daughter has a dog that looks like a lab with a pit bull nose, and Allie, and she's the biggest, dumbest dog on the planet. She thinks she's a couch dog, but yeah, she's hysterical, and she's actually afraid of smaller dogs.
Yeah.
She runs.
Yeah, we have one in the shelter that's afraid of our roaming cat. He takes one look at that cat and he just, I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah, so I can understand why the animals in Pasco and Kennewick are not being adopted, because you would have to go through all of these additional expenses. So we have somebody who feels that
Great
they
call.
have been, really looked down on and
Right.
essentially discriminated against, I guess.
It happens.
Yeah.
And there's, like I said, there's a level of fear mongering. I was talking with Angela Zeiler, the director at Tri-Cities Animal Control, about dog fighting. She's also goes with me when we talk to the council. What gets fought in this part of the world is, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but a Cane Corso Dogo cross,
No.
which does not fall into the category of a pit bull type dog at all. It's about 160 pounds of big, fast, and
Wow.
mean, and
160.
160.
Ooh.
It looks like a dragon, and so it doesn't fall in. They're not breaking the law to have that dog, but there's really only one reason that anybody would have that type of dog, and that's not a pet. And so, I mean, it's just like I said, singling out for breed just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up through science. It doesn't add up through data. It doesn't add up through physical appearance.
Yeah, but what about these stories that we hear on a national basis of people being mauled and
Yeah.
basically killed
Yeah.
by their dog? And oftentimes that dog is a pit bull.
I think it's more often to be sensationalized in the news if it is a pit bull type dog. If you go back to 30, 40 years ago, it was German Shepherd snarling, snapping icon on the news, and then it was Doberman Pinschers, and then it was Rottweilers. And it just
yeah.
became pit bulls.
Mm-hmm.
And when in fact, the number one bite in the Tri-Cities consistently for the past 5 years is a Chihuahua.
Ankle biters.
Oh, that's
Oh, we have a white
really.
one.
So you have statistics on that.
Yeah.
So reported
Yeah.
bites.
Reported bites. It's hilarious looking. It's Chihuahua, Chihuahua, Pit Bull, Chihuahua, Chihuahua, Cat, Chihuahua, Chihuahua, German Shepherd, Chihuahua, Chihuahua, Chihuahua.
There's a white one
Oh.
that lives down the street from us, and you might laugh, but I tell you
Yeah.
what,
Yeah,
when,
I
a,
agree.
when a Chihuahua truly gets angry, they look like Cujo.
Mm-hmm.
They bear those teeth, and there's a little white one that lives down the street. We
Oh,
have
yeah.
the hardest time getting him out of our yard,
Yeah.
and he's a vicious little fella.
And that's what we hear consistently over and over again. And the other thing is a bite is a bite. I mean, they can target a mane just like a big dog does. While the argument against, when they say a pit bull bites, they'll do more damage because they have bigger equipment. But when Chihuahuas fight in packs, and like I said, they can get at you too. A bite is a bite, and it's a scary thing.
Yes, it is. A lot of different big dogs. Well, they don't even have to be a big dog. That's not even a big dog. Yeah. Okay.
They're not.
We need to take a break here, but we'll be back to talk more about dangerous dogs with Elaine Allison from the Benton County Humane Society. Stay with us. We're talking about dangerous dogs today, and my guest is Elaine Allison from, she's the operations manager at the Benton Franklin Humane Society. If you want to join our conversation, if you have any experiences with dangerous dogs, give us a call, 547-8726. All right, so we have these restrictions that are breed specific in Kennewick and Pasco, but Richland does not. What are their experiences?
Going back 5 years in the bite statistics, which I guess is the most logical measure of success or failure of a breed restriction or a breed ban, consistently Richland comes in the lowest. They have the same demographic, they have the same population size, but they have, I think last year, not one pit bull bite. It was all Chihuahuas and Cocker Spaniels and cats, and so I think it's a really good example of it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Kennewick, that has the strictest, has the highest.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's actually no statistical data to support any particular breed of dog is dangerous. If you're looking at, again, going back to bite statistics, if you look at the last 5 years of bite statistics, the #1 breed of dog that's biting people is a Chihuahua. Hands down every year.
Yeah.
And that dog should be deemed dangerous just like any other dog. If they've used their mouth aggressively for whatever reason, no justification, a bite is a bite, then that's a dangerous dog and they should be treated that way.
Hey, you were talking about, earlier on, you were talking about the Canine Good Citizen test that Pasco has. What is that test? I mean,
it's a AKC sanctioned dog human activity. It's not really was designed to be used as a temperament test for in this capacity. It was just something that the AKC came up with for something for people to do with their dogs. It's a cool test. It's 10 basic exercises demonstrating a decent temperament and good training. So, you know, you have to walk up to the person and shake their hand, and the dog can't like jump all over you or mouth you. You walk up and you ask to pet the dog, and the dog is okay being handled, being groomed, and then basic manner things like, can they walk through a crowd of people? Can they be in a sit stay for a period of time? Can they be in a down stay? Will they come when they're called? And can they be left alone with a stranger for 2 minutes? That's the test. It really doesn't make sense to use it as a barometer for whether or not a dog is dangerous or not, because any dog can pass that test with enough training.
Well, with enough training, yeah, but I would have to say that there are a lot of dogs that can't pass that test.
And as a Canine Good Citizen evaluator, when you don't pass the test, and what I've heard from others in the city as well, is that it becomes quite dangerous. I know one trainer had a gun pulled on her, and somebody had to be arrested for felony stalking because she didn't pass his dog, and he was angry. He didn't want to jump through those hoops of having his dog labeled a dangerous dog. So it just kind of blows up once you really look at it and go, is this a solution to the problem?
I'll give our phone number again. Put it in your phone so that you can speed dial us. It's 547-8726 if you want to join the conversation about dangerous dogs and very breed specific, which is the pit bull. So what has been the reaction when I know that you have made presentations, you've only been here 2.5 years, so just in the past 2.5 years to the city councils.
Right. I'm really appreciative that the conversation continues. And so I'm going back in November to talk to them again, and hopefully we will have it put to rest at time. The biggest thing that I try to convey when I'm talking to the council is they want the public to feel safe. The public wants to feel safe. This may or may not be the right solution to make the public feel safe, because again, what we're doing is we're creating a subculture of sequestered breeds of dogs that are uninoculated, untrained, unsocialized, sitting in a basement waiting for dark to go out. And that is a recipe for disaster as far as I'm concerned. It is the thing that I always want to tell people when they're trying to have a dog in a home with children is any dog has the potential to bite. And your average sized dog is face level exactly with a child. So you want to make sure that, anytime you bring a dog into your home, that they are properly socialized, that they are properly trained, and that they have the right temperament to be in a home with children. I think it's the American Temperament Association did a test of all these different breeds, and pit bulls came in at number 6 or 7, I believe, as far as nice dogs, well above German Shepherds on their temperament testing scale. I'm not saying that all dogs don't. I have a German Shepherd. Don't kill me. But it just comes down to the individual dog. When people come into the shelter to look for a dog, we talk with them. We want to make sure that the dog, we're not just trying to, here, try this on like it's a sweater. Oh, bring it back if it's a problem. We want to make sure that they go into the right home. And, we try and make sure that everybody is safe. We test the dogs before they go out. We train them. We have a prison training program. So we do everything that we can possibly think of to make sure that children must be safe in their home.
Well, what is, from your perspective, the best way to craft an ordinance that does provide as much community safety as possible?
The only thing that I think needs to change in the dangerous dog law and the potentially dangerous dog law is take the breed. It's again a very clearly defined law. Just take the breed description part out of it. It's a addendum D, and it's basically what they're saying is anything that looks or smells like a pit bull is also going to be considered potentially dangerous, and you have to jump through those hoops. If they just take it for straight face value and say this dog behaved in this kind of a manner, then that makes sense to me. Also, the amount of revenue that the animal control spends chasing these ghost calls, unicorns, He's a pit bull, and then they run out. And I think based on population size, I think it was $283,000 that is spent just dealing with pit bulls, when the fact the very small demographic of really reckless dog owners is what they need to be focusing on, not just everything out there.
Yeah.
I think it goes
Great
back
call.
to, breeding and nature and treating them right. A lot of times people wanted to get a pit bull because they wanted a protector and they wanted to keep it in the yard. And again, you go back to that, is that part of your family? If you go really far back to the early 1900s, when they were considered the nanny dog, they
Wow.
were taking, oh yeah, I have some great pictures of like a little girl in her little dress with her little pit bull and its little spiked collar. And they were known for their loyalty to human beings, and that's unfortunately one of the reasons why they were chosen for the pit, was their loyalty to humans made it less likely for them to turn on somebody in the pit.
Very interesting. Well, this has all been very interesting. Elaine Allison from Benton Franklin Humane Society, I thank you so much for coming and talking with us today about
Thank you.
dangerous dogs, so we understand the differences in all the 3 cities.